And so acceptance is critical in being able to bounce back. And when maybe we get dumped by our fiance, or maybe we don't get that job that we thought was ours, or maybe we break our leg and we're upset or angry or disappointed, the sooner that we say, I wouldn't have chosen this, but I also realize that good things can come from what I thought were disasters.
Welcome to Give a Heck. I am your host, Dwight Heck, and for much of my life, lived my life in quiet desperation, wondering how I was going to pay the bills, take vacations, save for retirement, and one day wondering if I would get off the hamster wheel of life and have purpose. A life that most of society lives, which takes us to work, then home, then repeat, and pays us hopefully enough just to survive. The harsh truth that most live with more month than money and have no idea how to live life on purpose, not by accident. This ensures the mass majority are living not just financially broke, however emotionally and mentally as well due to financial pressures. In each episode, I will introduce you to thoughts, ideas, and guests that can help you to learn how you too can live life on purpose, not by accident. Good day, and welcome to Give a Heck. On today's show, I welcome Andrew Matthews. Andrew is an Australian author and international speaker. Andrew's books, including Being Happy, Follow Your Heart, and Bouncing Back, have sold over 8 million copies in 49 languages. Andrew has presented to over 1,000 corporations on 5 continents on attitude, enjoying work, and resilience. Andrew also speaks in universities and prisons. His clients include McDonald's, Lenovo, Honda, Dell, Intel, HSBC, Motorola, Walmart, and Citibank, just to name a few. Andrew's talent is in making complex ideas simple. Andrew is popular with CEOs and surgeons, with teenagers, and again, prisoners, which I can't wait to get into that conversation. Andrew's latest book is Bouncing Back, How We Were Bound from Disaster and Disappointment. It is now available on Amazon in hard copy, ebook, and Audible. Andrew is an accomplished artist, and his 12 books are lavishly illustrated with his own cartoons. Andrew has done over 5,000 media interviews in 5 continents. Wow. Andrew lives in Queensland, Australia, with his wife and publisher, Julie. What a great thing to do, be in partnership with your wife. I'd like to welcome you to the show, Andrew. Thanks so much for agreeing to come on and share with us some of your life journey.
Nice to be with you, Dwight. Thank you. And it's already tomorrow here.
Yes, that is true. He's like 6 o'clock in the morning in Australia, and we're still stuck on Wednesday, right? He's always, living in the future. Just has to rub it in our face, right? We have to experience everything later in life, but that's okay, right? When doomsday happens, you're going to experience it first, so that's okay. I get a few hours to run.
It's looking good, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Life's good. We had the sun was out a little bit here. Where you live in Australia, do you experience the 4 seasons, or are you pretty much not? Like, we get all 4 seasons here, actual snow.
Yeah, I'm in the tropics, so we have
Oh, okay.
6 months of heat and humidity, and then we have 6 months of absolutely perfect, very little rain and just warmth. But
Wow.
it's abundant, and I've got kangaroos on the lawn outside, and I'm on a beach in far
Wow.
north Queensland. Yeah,
Wow.
so
So
I'm blessed.
you don't get a few like literally, because you understand metric. Yeah, you guys are metric
Yeah,
as opposed to imperial. So I have to, depending on who I talk to, I got to think about, like, literally this year we probably had 150 centimeters of snow, let's say, right?
yeah,
Roughly 5 feet. But yeah, everything's budding and growing, and I love spring. But I like the four seasons. But I could like what you're talking about too.
We've probably had about that much rain since January.
Holy.
We, yeah, we had a lot of rain. Um, but it's a nice. I travel a lot, but it's a nice part of the world to come back to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have the snow, we have the cold, we have like, yeah, I live all four seasons. I love it. But again, like I said, I could learn to love yours too. So, Andrew, one of the things that I like sharing with people, we talked about it before I hit record, is I like talking to people about their origin stories, their earliest recollections of things that excited them. It doesn't even have to be about their business journey and how it affected them. Maybe it was just something that was pivotal in their mindset that made them more excited about a certain, maybe they were never a reader, they became a reader. Maybe it was a sport that somebody encouraged them, they loved it, and it directed them to other paths in their life, and that's why they're a go-getter or whatever the case may be. Whatever your story is, please do me a favor and share your origin stories, from what key things from your childhood to adulthood to led you to where you are presently at.
Now, there's probably three things that come to mind. Firstly, I was a blessed child. I had loving parents, and I had parents who cared about how we lived and what we did. Um, and so when I come across so many people who have uh, had difficult childhoods or abusive childhoods, um, I'm in awe of what so many people have handled. And and it's a miracle that so many of my readers and of our listeners have managed so well with the start that they have. Because I had loving parents. My father was a landscape painter, an artist. He was a small-time entrepreneur, and my mother was forever um, correcting my grammar. So it's probably understandable that I became an author who illustrates his own books. And there was real encouragement for being creative, for drawing, for painting, for building. I used to build boats as a teenager. Um, I ended up building a couple of houses before I became an author because I grew up using woodworking tools and I loved that. One of the things that shaped my life experience as a kid, I was the smallest kid in like primary school, grade school. When I was even in third year high school, I was the smallest kid in school, and I hated it. And I would say to my mother, when will I ever grow? And she would say, well, in life, you accept what you can't change, and you change what you can change. And so the other bigger kids, they used to throw me over the school fence. They used to lock me in cupboards. And they used to flush my head in the toilet and things like that. I had a big mouth, so I wasn't innocent. Um, and but it wasn't so much that I felt like a hated or a bullied kid. I just hated being small. I wanted to be, the other kids toyed with me because they could. It's like a cat might play with a mouse. Um, so it wasn't that I felt, particularly bullied, although I was. I just wanted to be grown up, and so maybe I learned to compensate for being this tiny kid who wanted to be the size of a 16-year-old when I was 16, and I was the size of a 10-year-old. But it probably taught me to focus a bit on what I could do, and maybe a little bit more on doing okay at school. And I'd try extra hard on the tennis court, and I'd practice drawing. One of the interesting things was uh, I never had a TV at home. My parents said that we'd be far more industrious and and develop our hobbies if we didn't have a TV. And my big brother, whenever he got in front of a TV, he was just um, obsessed with it. So until I was, I think, 16, we never had a TV at home. So I grew up just building things and drawing and painting and playing sport, and um, so that was an important thing in my development as well.
That's amazing though. Like you were talking about, you know, how your mom influenced where you are at, or you give credit for that. And that's good because I can think of things and give credit to both my parents for different things that they taught me. And that's a healthy thing because it's a yin and yang, right? Hopefully it's not too negative, but it's things that help us develop. I like the fact you built boats and then you built houses. Like you built a couple houses and then become an author. It goes to show you how we can have such a variety in our lives of experiences and things that we learn that don't necessarily become our, our thing that we create wealth with, or we serve and teach others in the world, but it's still skills you learn. Like you said, I could see in your face. For those watching, you'll understand what I mean. When you said you learned word work, I could see how proud you were about the fact that you did that. Those are precious moments in your life that helped you and shaped you, right? Do you think that doing the woodwork and stuff, could you attest to that helping you through your life in regards to being an author, or what you've written about or spoke to people about?
Yeah, Dwight, I believe every time we do something and we manage to finish it, and perhaps we manage to do it well and we're proud of it, then we take that confidence and that understanding. I finished a boat, I can build a house. I've built myself a house. I can write a book. Uh,
So that confidence was important.
it's an understanding that you just, I mean, the first house I built, and I built that house by accident, actually. I I bought a block of land, and it was the cheapest block in the entire town. And I was out in the country, so it was 3,000 Australian dollars for a block of land. That was 1979, I think. And I had no money to build the house. But I had a little business on the side, and I had no money to employ a builder, and I had a neighbor called Warren who I didn't think was very bright, but he'd built his own house. So I thought, if Warren can do it, maybe I can talk to Warren about how do you actually build foundations, because that can't be too hard. And you dig the foundations, and then you set up some timber around it, and you lay all your plumbing, and then you put down the plastic and the steel, and then you tip in this concrete. You've got a foundation. So Warren came and spent 5 minutes with me, maybe no longer than that, at my kitchen table, and said, "This is how you do it." So I built the foundation. Then I got a friend to help me lay the bricks, and I labored, and he laid the bricks. And I knew how. I built a very simple roof. It was just a gable roof. I'd built furniture before, so I could build the furniture and I could build the windows. But I never actually started out planning that I was going to build the whole house. I just did it one step at a time. And after about a year, I had this house. Um, and it's the same way that I will write a book. I write a book one page a day. And I might spend a couple of hours on that. And some of those pages I throw out. But I get up at 4:30 when I can't be interrupted, and I build my book the same way I build a house. I just keep doing it until it's done.
And
And
every
life,
stage every stage along the way though of building that house and you accomplishing sets you up for, hey, if I can do it this far, why not the next? And it would probably be the same writing a book. I know with my book, I would get discouraged and think to myself, the editor would send it back praising a chapter, or I'd read the chapter again, or I'd be in the middle of writing and think to myself, oh, I can't go on. and then encouragement or accomplishment of one good chapter would drive me to keep on going and not quit. So, how much of the dedication of you completing each task drove you to the next task? Was that a big
So,
reason?
yeah, we're talking about momentum, and whenever you have a little win or whenever you finish something, you say, "I can do this. I can do the next bit." And I believe that in anything we do, and I talk about this a little bit in bouncing back, if we break it down into chunks, even if we're going through a difficult time in our life, and we break it down and we say, "Okay, this is all I need to do today." And I'm not going to worry about how I'm going to finish the house or finish the book or pay this big bill. I'm going to do what I can today. And my observation is that anybody who achieves anything um, of some significance, they have that ability to just break it down and say, okay, I know that there's a lot to do, but what do I need to do before bedtime?
Yeah, your accomplishments drive us. And yeah, I agree with you. So, people listening or watching, if you put down 10 tasks and you expect to accomplish them all in the one day, you probably won't accomplish any of them. It's overwhelming. You're better off to take off bite-sized pieces, just like eating an elephant one bite at a time. You're gonna look at your task and say, "This is what I'm gonna accomplish well today." This and look at your tasks. Sometimes those tasks you aren't listing them as priority from 1 to 10. You're just writing down stuff you need to accomplish. Go through them and label them as this is a type A task or type one. I need to do it right now. This has to, and I'm not like you said, let outside things distract me so I can get that job done well. I've been stuck that way, doing a half-assed job of one thing because I'm thinking about too many other things and I'm not really giving my energy to that one task. So that is a big problem today in society, though, wouldn't you say that people just take on too much and they don't accomplish anything?
And we become, as you say, we become distracted and we become overwhelmed. I mean, if you're going to make a list of everything you need to do in the next 5 years, or make a list of everything that could go wrong in the next 5 years, I mean, you could go nuts. You just so overwhelmed with everything that has to happen. But if you just say, okay, I know there's a lot of things that I need to have happen, make happen to get my life on track, but what is the most important thing that I need to do today? And if it takes longer than 15 minutes, break it up into 15-minute chunks. We're more likely to begin a job if it's going to take less than 15 minutes. So break it up. And sometimes if I've done something, I'll write it on my list, even though I've finished it, just because it looks better sitting in my diary. It makes, I think, okay, I don't need it on the list because I did it, but I feel better if I write
Well,
it down.
and there's nothing wrong with that because our brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. We
Yeah,
program it, we feed it information, and if that works for you, that works for you. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with that. So many in society, I'll have people that I'm coaching and they'll say, "Well, I've said this to other people and they react or respond this way." They're not, but when I say it to you, you respond back to me the way you see it in a positive light and not make me feel bad about it. I said, well, the difference is I'm in a journey in my life where you're at point A, I'm at point B already. I'm a little bit farther in the journey, so I have a little bit more empathy and understanding of your circumstance and can direct and help you. Whereas the person you're talking to maybe is in your same friend group or your family, they're stuck. And when you're telling them about something happy, their mindset is saying, "Hey, why aren't you there?" And they respond in kind, maybe negative, because they're overshadowing the fact that they don't like where their life is. So our associations are so key for us to grow and to move forward and to get support from people. Wouldn't you agree that our associations are so key?
yeah. And we become like the people that we spend most time with. And so I say that if we have a family who is not supportive, then we need to be very serious about finding a friend group who will support us and encourage us. And uh, I tell the story of if you go, and many of us have had this happen. We go into a public toilet and it smells so bad in there that we want to choke, but we stay in there because we've got a mission, we got a job to do,
Yeah.
and and by the time we leave 5 minutes later, it doesn't smell quite so bad. And if you got locked in there for an hour, you might be saying, "What smell?" And the same is true for the people in our life. If we hang out with people who are lazy or people who are complainers, in the beginning we think they're so lazy or why are they always complaining? But if we're with them long enough, we start to think like them and become like them. So we need to be vigilant, and it doesn't mean that we can let our family just go if they're not as positive as we would like them to be, but it does mean we need to find other people that can support us.
Well, yeah, and I find I get asked this a lot when I'm coaching clients or just family friends asking me questions. Well, you can't like it's your family, their blood. You know what? Yes, I have family. Yes, they're blood related. But if they make me, when I think about them, if I feel icky or feel like I get a pain, like anxiety, that's telling me, okay, I got to go to this family event and Aunt Sally's going to be there. And she always is so negative. I'm going to go into that circumstance with a positive attitude and learn to deflect. Learn to Aunt Sally's going blah, 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 blah. Hey, Aunt Sally, you know what? Wow, it's spring out. Isn't it cool? All the trees are budding. Like find something to distract that person and limit your conversation. Hey, Aunt Sally, I just remembered. I got to go talk to my sister Suzette. And, I have something important to talk to her about. You're not lying. What you're going to tell her is you're going to get up and go and tell her something like, oh, Suzette, Aunt Sally's at it again. I use you as a distraction. you know, because and learn to go to events if the negativity is really high, go 30 minutes ahead of time. Supper's at 5, 4:30. I go there, I visit for a little bit, do your cordial, fake it because really you don't care what they think because they're negative. You learn not to ask them. You learn what people not to ask, how are you doing? And then supper's gone, dessert 30 minutes later. It was great seeing you all. I got plans. And people say, well, do you actually have plans? Sure. My plan is to not be around this negativity anymore. Bye-bye. I don't have to tell them details of what my plan is. My plan is self-protection. All right.
And if we limit how much complaining we listen to, then we're actually doing the complainer a service too. Because here's the thing: we know that we talk about what we think about. We think about food, then we're going to talk about food. But we also tend to think about what we talk about. So if we're complaining, then even when we're not talking about it, we're thinking about the last conversation we had. So the more that we encourage other people to stop complaining or limit how much we allow them to complain, the better off they are, and the less we complain, the better off we are.
Well, and their circle of people that'll listen to it decreases because if you coach other people in the family how to deal with an Aunt Sally, right? Eventually, Aunt Sally's going to have nobody wanting to sit by her, and maybe Aunt Sally doesn't come to the celebration anymore, right? Maybe
Yeah.
she's just somebody that her negativity is just too strong and nobody wants to listen. Why am I going to go to that if I can't complain, right? But you're right. You have to limit, and you're doing them a favor. um, I just use the principle of the fact that if Andrew and I are hanging out and Andrew is communicating with me, and when we go to leave, I can't wait to see Andrew again, right? Because Andrew makes me feel good. Andrew posts some stuff that I don't always agree with, or maybe he says some stuff that I don't always agree with, but it's not morally apprehensive. It's just things that I don't agree with. But 70% of the time, I can't wait to see Andrew again. I'm thinking when he leaves, hey, Andrew, Let's get together. I don't mean those. I don't. They're not cheap words. I actually mean it. Let's get together next week or 2 weeks from now. Or here, I'll text you shortly. Let's book something because I can't wait to see Andrew again because Andrew makes me feel good. And I hope I'm giving that reciprocal energy, making Andrew feel good as well. And the rest doesn't matter. All those people that are negative, that bring you down, make you have anxiety and stuff, limit your time with them, like Andrew's saying. You're doing them a favor, you're for sure doing yourself a favor, and your associations will start to drop off when you start living a principle of what I call 70-30. 70% of the time, that person better make me what when they read their stuff, listen to their videos, talk face to face, have a phone call. I better get off that phone call going, I didn't really agree with Andrew, but I still love the guy. I can't wait to see him again. I always want to feel that way about people in my life, Andrew. I don't care who it is. But yeah, I find that so many people they don't limit their associations, and then they live a life of constantly on that hamster wheel, go to work, go home, get paid. They don't have enough. And we're going to talk about the fact that you focus on, gratitude and stuff like that. I find that if people don't learn to and associations for me, I don't know if you agree with this or not, are not just people. Who do I associate with, or pardon me, what do I associate with when I read? What do I associate with what I allow media, whether it's normal media or social media? What do I allow to influence in my life? Am I literally, my associations are so key. If I'm sad, I better not be listening or reading or hanging out with sad people because that ain't going to help me. That's just going to keep me stuck. If I'm angry, same sort of idea. So for me, associations are something that I really help people key in on because I want to find out what was their monster in their life monster, their money monster, who or what influenced them, and can we change that? Can we work on that association changing so that their mindset isn't always pulled back, right? So for me, associations are so key.
And the one of the things about happiness, people say, why have you written so many books that focus on happiness? And the fact is that as we become happier, so we begin to attract happier people, and we attract more opportunities, and we have more energy, and we think better, and we become a magnet for both happier people and for opportunity. And so happiness as a goal is not some optional extra. Like people often say, well, I want to be successful and then I'll worry about being happy. But if we focus on being grateful for what we have, if we focus on the good things that are happening for us, if we look for an opportunity to complement those people around us, then we become a magnet for the kinds of people that we want to be around. And so we're creating that because just by who we are.
Yeah, and happiness is something too. I get people will say to me because I do a lot of goal setting with people, and they'll say, I just want to be happy all the time. And I'll say to them, well, that's not possible. Well, what do you mean it's not possible to be happy all the time? Well, happiness is a state that you're in. If you never knew, a lack of happiness and sadness and stuff, how would you know when you're happy? What is your take on the opposite of happiness, being sad or angry? Do you feel that it is possible for people to be happy all the time, or is there a state where, in order for them to enjoy happiness, they need to appreciate the opposite of it?
Um, Firstly, it's not about that we're never unhappy. It's more about how quickly do we bounce back. I mean, every one of us is going to lose someone we love, and we will grieve, and we need to grieve. And every one of us will be let down and disappointed. So it's more about how quickly do we bounce back. And so resilient people, one of the things about resilient people is that they are able to accept early on, I wouldn't have chosen this, but it's happened. And so acceptance is critical in being able to bounce back. And when maybe we get dumped by our fiance, or maybe we don't get that job that we thought was ours, or maybe we break our leg and we're upset or angry or disappointed. The sooner that we say, I wouldn't have chosen this, but I also realize that good things can come from what I thought were disasters. I've got a cartoon in Bouncing Back where I say that there's a guy climbing a mountain and he's exhausted and sweating and looking unhappy. Even his dog is unhappy. And the caption is, what you thought was breaking you is probably making you. And the fact is that we're not born extraordinary. We become extraordinary by facing challenges that we didn't choose. We never want to go through the things that we need to go through to become the kinds of people that we want to become. So we all go through those heartbreaking experiences, those tough things, those disappointments. But then how quickly do we accept, okay, so I didn't want this, but now I've got it. What is my response, and how, one bite at a time, can I get myself back to where I want to be?
Yeah, resilience is a word that I hang on. I love that word because so many people don't know how to be resilient. They can't become like one of the things I do before I go to bed, because I really believe in gratefulness and gratitude. I do it twice a day minimum, and throughout the day, depending on my state of mind. If something's irritating me or I'm upset, I think to myself, what did I learn from this? What can I gain from this, and how can I not have this happen again? Is it possible? But it's, awareness of our circumstances. I do that before I go to bed. I'll lay in bed and I do my gratefulness, and I'll have awareness. I'll think to myself, what an amazing conversation I had with Andrew today. He taught me this. He taught me this. He made me experience this feeling about myself or how I want to pivot and change. And awareness is so lost on people. They're not aware of all the different little things that little nuances that happen in their lives. And to be able to be resilient, to be able to bounce back, to be able to continue to climb. Is there a specific thing that you teach in bouncing back for people to be, or any of your books, to teach people on how to have that level of awareness, and then how that, how gratitude, gratefulness ties into all of that?
Yeah, well, the first thing about gratitude, people say, why is gratitude so important? Because you can't be grateful and angry at the same time. You can't be grateful and resentful at the same time. I mean, try it. You can't do it. Now, so I like to start my day with a gratitude list in my diary, and write down 3 things I'm grateful for today. And when I've encouraged people to do this, they sometimes say, well, I've gone through all the big things and now I'm just doing little things like, I can see a flower out the, edge of my window here or something. And, just being grateful for a phone call or a conversation, just little things. And I would say, if you study the happiest people, what's interesting about the happiest people is that they are grateful for the little things, the tiny things. And so the more that we don't feel compelled to have big things on our gratitude lists, like, I just got a new car, or I'm planning a holiday to Spain, and we start talking about the conversation or the flower, the more we are beginning to think like the happiest people think. It's not the big stuff, it's the little stuff. And we find in life what we look for. If you look for faults in your boyfriend, you find them. If you look for reasons to be happy about where you live, and if you look for the good points about where you work, if you look for good things, you find them. So it's not about the outside world, it's about the questions that we ask ourselves. And so uh, in bouncing back, and we talk about gratitude, looking for good things, it's all about the questions that we ask. What do I like about this? What am I grateful for? What do I love about my sister? What do I love about living in this part of the world. We can always find something.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is though, our learned behavior is so powerful from our families, from our associations growing up, maybe a coach in an extracurricular activity or whatever. We are not raised to be a person that's like become aware of what is good. We're in a society that's always focusing on, you know, look what this person did to me. I didn't deserve that. Oh my goodness, how am I going to overcome that? Instead of looking at it and say, that person, this happened between us. What can I learn from that? Oh, maybe I need to change their association because they're negative all the time and stop hanging out with them. Or, maybe I have to be aware that what they said, though it hurt, maybe there's some truth in that because I want to be self-aware. I want to learn from this person. Like you said, I don't want to let that person be my boat anchor in life. I believe everybody has something to teach us. What, maybe they're completely 100% a jerk and negative all the time, but I can learn something from them. I can learn that I'm worthy. And people listening, watching, you are worthy. You're not meant to be a doormat for somebody. You're not meant to be somebody that wants more, wants more. Your neighbor has this, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, whatever. You want more. I'm grateful when I wake up to opening my eyes up. And it's going to sound silly. I'm grateful for all those little things like brushing my teeth, right? Like people go, "What?" You know what? I said, I like the fact that I can wake up, I open my eyes and go, for me, I'm a Christian. Thanks God for letting me have another day. This is what I got accomplished today. You know, I welcome you into my day. I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me to have another shot to service myself and be the best version of myself so that I can serve others, so that I can be a vessel for you. And that gratefulness, and the reason I bring this up, Andrew, sometimes things change and I have to wake up sooner, some emergencies happen, and I forget to do it. And I got the whole day and I'm kind of feeling off. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I feeling off? Oh, damn. I'm just aware that I forgot to do my gratefulness this morning. I forgot to appreciate what I have. The fact that I am still alive when so many other people aren't alive. I got a roof over my head. How many billions of people don't around the world? Like, people make fun of me for it, but it works. Gratefulness and having gratitude and being aware and analyzing my night or my day before I go to bed makes me think better too. I sleep better. I wake up. Thank you, God. Right. And I start my day and I have that ingrained in my life, but it didn't happen without effort. Wouldn't you agree though that so many people start stuff and quit because it takes too much effort? And how does a person get around and convince somebody that the effort's worth it?
Um, I think at some point, many of us decide that I need to make some serious changes. Maybe we're on our knees. I talk about a day in October the 19th, 1983, where I had a look at my life and I thought, how am I doing romantically? Not very well. How's my how's my bank balance? No, it doesn't look so good. How am I enjoying my work and career? Well, I'm not. Basically, I thought to myself, I'm 25, a third of my life is probably over, and I'm not doing like I thought I would be doing. I'm not as happy as I should be. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to see my life differently. I'm going to respond to people differently. I'm going to be a better friend. I'm going to take intelligent risks, and I'm going to change my life from today. And my life didn't totally change from that day, but the trajectory of my life changed from that day. And within 2 days, I found about a personal development course that I thought I I developed a new motto for myself, Dwight, and it was this: if in doubt, do it. Now, it wasn't it
Good.
wasn't that I was going to do dangerous things, but it was that I was going to uh, embrace life like a lover and just whatever came my way, an invitation to a party, someone was going skydiving, a course came up that might be helpful, someone recommended a book, I would take it all on. And that was pivotal. But here's my point. It was a decision. It was a decision I made that I am going to be happier from today and I'm going to do different things. I'm going to respond differently than I have to this point. And happiness is very much a daily decision, sometimes several times a day. And we've all seen a 2-year-old playing around on the furniture at home and he falls on his head. And the first thing he does is he looks around to see who's watching. And based on the audience, he decides whether he's going to laugh or cry. And we think that is really cute. But we might overlook the fact that we do exactly the same thing. We're out driving on the freeway. Someone cuts across in front of us and we make an instant decision. Am I going to let this ruin my day? Or will I just say, maybe he's in a hurry?
But it all has to be worked on every day. People laugh at me, Andrew, when I say, they say, "Oh, how long is that personal development thing going to be going for you?" Till the day I take my last breath. Every day I'm a human being. I am not perfect. I'm flawed. And I need to do what you said, doing it multiple times a day, being grateful. Absolutely. Sometimes I have a call with a client that's really, and my emotional mindset is not there, but I can't ignore the call. I'm not emotionally strong. And I'm honest with myself. And I get on that call and I get off of it and I feel just wiped. And I'm just going, you know, I close my eyes, I do a little bit of a prayer, and I think to myself, what just went on? What could I have done different? Oh, the first and foremost, I'm grateful that I'm even able to have that person trust me enough to talk to me. Just a simple gratefulness, the gratitude of somebody trusting you. Even if it's a brand new client, they still give you a modicum of trust. So I grab onto that and I think to myself, okay, and if it's too overwhelming and I can't be grateful, I do what many people don't like when they're kids. I time myself out. I time myself out from that mental thing. I go find something else that's going to change and pivot, right? And revitalize my mindset. Maybe it's listening to an audiobook. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe I do something that's completely 180 degrees different from that, just so I can ground myself, because I put myself, sometimes we put ourselves, wouldn't you agree, into circumstances that we shouldn't be, because we have little choice without, me commenting on a client that's been waiting for a week, 2 weeks. I can't do that, but yet I'm not always in check. How do you deal with that when you're not in check? Do you still take that call with that person? Do you have a way of deflecting from it? Do you use, how do you recover from something like that?
What I will do is something like you do, and I'm glad you highlighted that. When we've come through a difficult conversation or something that's upsetting or disturbing or even making us angry, that we say, okay, now I can choose to do something else. So I might meditate, I might go for a walk. Often I like to arrange a game of tennis or something, and get my body working so hard that I don't have time to think about something else at the same time. So being aware, as you say, being aware that we can change what we're doing, being aware that we don't have to sit there and stew, or we don't have to sit there and be upset, that we can engage ourselves in something else, whether it's music, or whether it's playing some music, or whether it's going for a run, or whether it's talking to somebody that's going to be uplifting. I've also got friends who I will call that are bright and positive. One of my buddies, George, is a psychiatrist, so we have a chance to talk about all kinds of interesting things and what's behind some of this stuff that's going on with people that I love and care about. But yeah, make a conscious pivot.
Yeah, and so many people don't. Um, I'm really interested, and I ask people this question quite often. And I wrote this in my conversation of the notes. You after 12 books, you've written a lot. How is the momentum from initially thinking about writing your first book to where you are now? Has it been a cathartic process where it continually helps you evolve and drive yourself forward to continue to be happy? Like, what has that process been for you from before you put out your first book to where you are now? Has that process been cathartic and continued to drive you?
It's been a great thing to put myself out there and be someone who writes about happiness, because I need to practice it, and I need to practice what I write about. And my wife will sometimes tell me, "You write books about this. You should be happier about this." And
I
and I
love
will
it.
tell her, it's not about being happy all the time. It's about how quickly you bounce back, which is true, and it's what I believe. But what it uh, here's the thing: being happy. My first book. I when I got to that point on the 19th of October 1983, and I decided I need to be happier than I've been up until now, I started reading books. So I read 200 books about subconscious, attitude, happiness, whatever I could find. Very few books on happiness back then. And I found that there was some useful information, and other books that you know about, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The Power of Positive Thinking. I was reading all of those, and some of them were a bit boring, Dwight, and none of them had cartoons. So as I pieced together some strategies that worked for me, and some of the things that I'd never even thought about, like, you've got to at least like yourself, don't blame your parents, um, set yourself goals because you feel better even when you set the goal, even when you haven't done anything. Setting a goal makes you feel happier. Um, I talked about taking humor more seriously, because our body heals, and our mind works better when we're feeling happy and seeing the funny side of life. These things I wanted to wrap up in a book that was easy to read and entertaining and cartoon illustrated. So that was the first book, and for all I knew, it might have been the only book I wrote. Um, but then I wrote another book called Making Friends, which was a bit more about relationships. Again, basic things. When I write a book, I want every sentence to be a sentence that can be understood by a 12-year-old, because no one should have to work hard to get your message. So there was Making Friends. Then I wanted to do, I'd been blessed to do work that I loved and loved my work all my life. And I thought, what is the key to enjoying your work? And I wrote a book called Follow Your Heart, which was both for people who work for other people and could be more appreciative of even having a job, and for people who are planning to be a bit entrepreneurial. And then that led to other books like Happiness in Hard Times during the uh, global financial crisis. I wrote a book called How Life Works, which was a little bit more about understanding the metaphysics of, what's behind how our life unfolds and how much control do we really have. And then more recently, Bouncing Back. I mean, we're all bouncing back from something. We're bouncing back from maybe spending too much or eating too much, or bouncing back from that job that we thought we were going to get but we didn't, or we're bouncing back from losing a loved one, or we're bouncing back from a relationship that started out well and kind of isn't going so well now. So even though I've written 12 books about happiness, they've been coming at it from a different angle. The book that I've just finished rewriting is a book for teenagers called Being a Happy Teen. And that was first published in 2001. Such a lot has happened in the teenage landscape in the last 24 years. So what I'm hoping that is, as the new book looks more at uh, things like sexting and gaming and social media and some of the other basic things like, why we should set ourselves some goals and why happiness is a daily decision. I'm hoping that teens can then take some strength and replace some of their anxiety with hope.
Yeah, resilience and tying it to, so when I think of what you've been saying, and from starting your first book and then things evolving, you're always staying with the times of what's going on around you, but you're elevating and climbing through each book. You're climbing in the sense of, we stay camped in our mindset. You're always working to continually stay happy and share that information because it helps you grow. You're a servant of others, so you have a book now that's going to help teenagers out, like rewriting being happy for teens. That's, most people wouldn't think about that. We get so wrapped up in our own life of comfort or not comfort that we stop wanting to grow. So you're a tenacious individual. I would label you as that person. That's, and for those listening and watching that have been fans of mine for the last 4.5 years, I think tenacity is a superpower. We never allow ourselves to not want to grow. We learn something, we want to change, we make that change. We know it might hurt. We know it might, put a band-aid on that boo-boo, but we're going to continue to grow and move forward in our lives because we want to be resilient and adapt. I know I want to climb the rest of my life, Andrew. And I've thought about even writing more books along the give a heck line, like my book, Give a Heck, How to Live Life on Purpose and Not by Accident. Well, Give a Heck is my brand. That's my last name. I have that trademark. I could write a whole series on evolving and helping people evolve, similar to you. And the more I hear from people like yourself that have written multiple books that continually address specific needs within our society, it gives me more hope and understanding that, hey, you did it once. Why can't you do it again? Go help more people. Go share more messages. Wow, Andrew did it. 12 books, man. Look where he's at. He's got a book just about bouncing back and being that resilient person. Like, the standard reading, all 12 of them should be given to people in school. Here, read this, read this. Even my book, I've said that to people. One of my youngest and biggest fans, she's now an adult. Her dad bought her my book when she was in high school. Literally started listening to my podcast. She wrote an article about me and another author, her two favorite authors, for her high school newspaper. Like, never. And the reason I bring this up isn't for accolades for me, is to let people know you never know who you can change and affect one person at a time. And wow, you've got 12 fingers out there, 12 spider webs to help so many people. So congratulations. Like, I don't know how often people tell you that, but I think that's amazing. It really is, that you started and realized that you had a goal, a mission, and you move forward, right? And it's all about serving others. Obviously, we cannot say that what we do doesn't serve us. When that girl, when her dad wrote to me and sent me a link about her article, and I read it and read it from her school newspaper, I felt gladness. I felt joy. I felt like invincible. Like, wow, I actually helped somebody that's in high school with my book, right? Who else am I going to help?
And
And
and that
over,
is that is,
go
but
on.
that is a life. I mean, it's not just like a moment, but you've got one person whose whole life and their life direction is uplifted, changed, affected by the message she got from your books, and then uh, her husband, her kids are going to be transformed, affected by the message that she got. So it's a beautiful thing, um, and so there's people sometimes say asking their question about themselves. Should I write a book? One of the you don't write a book because it's going to be a bestseller. You write a book firstly because you're excited about a message, assuming it's nonfiction or maybe fiction. You write a book because you're excited about a message or a story that you want to share. So if you finish that book or even start that book, then you've achieved something in that you've had a chance to reflect on your values and what you care about. If other people read that book and are uplifted by it, then that is a bonus. And then when you start to get letters from readers in different parts of the world, then that is the absolute cream.
Oh,
Um,
my goodness. I've become friends with this girl now. She's 22. She runs her dad helped her with her and along with her grandma. She's running a yoga like a aerial yoga and stuff, runs a studio. She's very positive. We communicate. We've become friends now, right? Over this book. I have another guy that I met at a conference and he bought my book. He was going through marriage problems. He wanted to start his own business. He lives in the States. He, because of my book, and he literally is posted this specific chapter was about goal setting and then budgeting, these couple chapters where I talk about it in my book. And he credits to me for the fact that he had the courage to go start his own automotive business in Texas, and now he's one of the top in the state. And his business, he can't keep up to the amount of work he has just because the book, he said, give him confidence and step by step little tidbits. Right? I told him, I said, you know what? You had that inside you all along. All the book did. You have to give yourself credit. You decided to read the book. You decided to take the lessons. I didn't know till after you were done how it affected you. Pat yourself on the back. All I was a catalyst to help you. You already had that dream in your heart. You just needed somebody to pull it out of you, right? Even though you were going through the despair of divorce, you found that you wanted something to change. You seen a post about my book, you bought it, and it just it was a fire. It was a spark to ignite the fire in them that person had already. Just like that
yeah,
young girl, she already had the
yes,
spark of wanting to change, right? Because
yes.
people that are stuck aren't going to buy bouncing back. People that are really stuck aren't going to buy give a heck, right? Not unless somebody introduces. That's why I give my book out a lot. Not unless somebody introduces them that's in a positive mindset that understands that being happy is a good thing.
And here's the thing, Dwight, which you know anyway. Often we don't need new information. We just need to be reminded about things we already know. And maybe we need to hear that in a sentence, like something that you said before we were recording that I loved, that I'm going to remember about entitlement. And you said when you wake up and you celebrate the fact that you can brush your teeth or that you can have a shower. And shouldn't you be entitled to those things? No, millions of people can't do that. And I for me, I'm saying I know that, but I like the way you said it,
Oh, I
and so
appreciate
I
that.
I will remember that. And
Oh,
sometimes for those of us that write books, it's not that we're sharing information that our readers have never thought about. It is simply that we've said something in a way that they can remember. I've got a cartoon in Bouncing Back, and there's a guy, and he's very happy, and he's got one slice of cake that he's eating, and the caption to that the first panel is happy people focus on what they have, and the second caption. The second panel, the guy has an entire huge cake minus one slice, and he's looking dejected and miserable. And the caption to that panel is unhappy people focus on what's missing. And um, actually, when I drew that cartoon, I thought it's not really funny. Shall I even post it on social media? And then within 5 days, it had something like 2.5 million views and 64,000
wow.
likes. And And then I understood that people like it not because it's new information, but because it's confirming what they already know. And that's very often why we read a book or we listen to a TED talk. We just need to get some confirmation so that we can be even more committed, have more resolve to do the things that are working.
Yeah, that's true. We look for things and we don't realize it necessarily. Like we have, especially with what's going on in the world, people are divided and they look for confirmation. They have confirmation bias. They're always looking for things to confirm their viewpoint. But sometimes when we go to look for things, you're right. It is, I'm weak in this area. Like I'll use an example. It might be a silly example. One of my favorite books is The Five Love Languages. It is. It has been since I was younger. I use it as a relationship thing with my kids, my grandkids, and I look at that book and what it taught me and the values that it taught me, and I wonder to myself, you know, why did that book attract me so much? Well, I was lacking in the fact that I didn't understand why people were reacting a certain way, like their love language of acts of service, or for me, my two biggest love languages are words of affirmation and acts of service. Why is that? Why do they tag me so much? Well, I love serving other people. So my love language is acts of service. I get energy and I feel good about serving others. Usually our top love languages are what we are lacking too, which means I like when people serve me, right? When they give me acts of service and it makes me smile. So I give out what I want back. And words of affirmation. I believe in always being sincere when I give people compliments. I taught my kids all since they were little. Dad, why did you say that to that person at the store? You told them they had a nice smile, or they had a nice tie, or well, that's a nice shirt you're wearing. Why do you say that stuff? Because I believe it. I believe in being extending to other people what I see. I might be the only happy thing they had happen in that day. Maybe they got things going on outside their lives. So I search out things that are going to constantly help me evolve as your dad. And then I pay it forward. And one of the things is I learned so many things from, like you talked about, how to win friends and influence people, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. All the books I've listened to or read have taught me and helped me through my weaknesses. And I honestly believe things happen happen for us, not to us. They happen in a good way. Like you said, you're attracted to something. It's going to teach you a little bit. It's going to help you move forward. And I look at now all the books from you saying that statement that I've read or been attracted to, and it's always been something that I thought I was kind of good at, but I could use some help in, or things that I realized through awareness, right, that I sucked at, and maybe I needed to get a grip or a handle on it, because I always want to continue to serve me. That's one thing I never used to do. Was always a people pleaser, Andrew. I didn't please myself, and then I was drained and tired all the time and grumpy. Right. Once I learned to service my needs and my 6 inches between my ears and feed my heart, I've been a better servant to others.
That, a couple of quick things that come from that, Dwight. Number one is that when we decide that we are going to make it our mission to compliment people, then we're always looking for good things. So we're happier because we're noticing good things. My wife Julie and I went to a cafe recently, and Julie is a great complimenter. And she said to this fellow, you are so bright, and you make us feel so happy when we come into your coffee shop, and you just have this attitude that uplifts everybody, and I just want to thank you for that. And he called his wife over, and he said, just hear what this lady Julie said to me. And so Julie said, doesn't everyone tell you, because it's so obvious that you're just such a ray of sunshine? And he said, no one has ever told me in 12 years of running this coffee shop. So
Wow.
we assume that people know how wonderful or how beautiful or how brilliant they are, and they're being told all the time, and they're not. Um, so,
You, I've
so,
seen
so
today in society too, though, that people will take it like we're trying to manipulate them, though, too,
maybe so, maybe
right?
so. The other thing that comes from what you said about now that you're being kinder to yourself, people say, well, do you need to like yourself? Do you need to love yourself? You need to at least like yourself because we create the life that we feel we deserve. And if I don't like myself, I will work for a boss that treats me badly. I will stay in a relationship where I'm treated badly. I will overlook opportunities because I think I don't really deserve to have that great a life. And I will eat or drink things that, in effect, punish my body. I will do all kinds of things to ruin my life if I don't like myself because we create the life that we feel we deserve. So I've sometimes said this is something that we can do. When people say, well, how do I get to be kinder to myself? Get a picture of yourself when you were 3 years old and put it where you can see it on your desk, on your refrigerator, and treat yourself as you would treat that 3 year old who didn't have all the answers and was just living their life the best way they knew how, because you still don't have all the answers and you are still just living life the best way you know how.
Wow. What a powerful, wow. People watching and listening, rewind that a couple minutes. That is so true. Treat yourself like you would treat that 3-year-old, right? And that's what I tell people too when they talk negative thoughts about themselves. I'll say to them, would you talk to your friends like that or your family? Oh, no way. Well, why are you saying that about yourself? Like, everybody's at a different journey in their life when it comes to development. And all we can do is be vessels, you and myself, you through your books, through your speaking and your talks, and myself as well, is try to be a vessel, a catalyst to help one more person have that aha moment and walk forward on a path where they realize the success is only outside of their comfort zone. If they stick in their same negative mindset, they're going to get their negative mindset. They're going to attract negative mindset. Everything they look at is going to be their mind's going to be attributed to negativity, not gratefulness, right? It's a matter of programming. Again, like I said earlier, brain doesn't know a lie or a truth. What are you programming your brain with? Right? So
Yeah.
we've had the pleasure, listeners and viewers, to have Andrew on. Talk about his 12 books. We could probably talk for a few hours, but I got to respect Andrew's time. We're coming up close to the end here. And I have one last question I want to ask you. And that is, Andrew, if you had to give our listeners one last closing message, what would you tell them in regards to giving a heck and never giving up?
I would reinforce what we've been sharing in this last hour, and that is that happiness is a daily decision. Every day we're going to be disappointed, we're going to be let down. Things happen that we're in situations that we wouldn't have chosen. Uh, but we choose. We make that decision that we say, I'm going to find something positive in this. I'm going to treat myself well. I'm going to decide that this is my day. This is my day to be happy. This is my day to find purpose in the things that didn't go my way. And if we can just live one day at a time with joy, with gratitude, finding good things in the people and the situations around us, then we put together a happy life.
Wow. That's a great last closing message. And I was serious. We could probably talk for hours. You're a great conversationalist. Yeah. And again, people watching, you see Andrew smiling lots and myself, and this has been a fabulous conversation. I look forward to having you on again. I don't say that to all my guests, but I do look forward to having you on again. I think we could have a continued another hour conversation easily, right? Because we're both on the journey, on the climb to change one more person. And a lot of times that one more person is us first and then everybody else. Right? We got to
Yeah.
continue to grow. We got to continue to smile when we look at our. You got to like what you see in the mirror, even though unless you're bald like me and you wish you had hair. But I digress. It could still happen. So, Andrew, what's the best way that people can reach you?
Well, firstly, I do a newsletter every 2 weeks. It's only about 100 words, so it's very brief, and it has a cartoon. So you can find that newsletter at andrewmatthews.com. Andrew Matthews is all one word. And if you become too happy, you can unsubscribe at any time. You'll find all of my books on Amazon. My latest book, Bouncing Back, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stuck, I look at the things that resilient people do and how we can do those things so that we can bounce back from whatever it is that you're struggling with at the moment. Bouncing Back is also, I've done that as an audio book if you like your audio books with an Australian accent. So Being Happy, Follow Your Heart, they're all in ebooks and also as hard copies.
Right on. For those that are new to this Give a Heck podcast, go to my website, giveaheck.com. Go to the top, hit the podcast button, and you'll see a picture of Andrew. You'll see the full show notes in there, which will include his social media links as well as his website. And there'll be chapter summaries as well as a full unedited transcript for those of you that like to read. Some people want to read it. That's fine. It'll all be there at giveaheck.com. Appreciate you being on. Any last final comments before I wrap up the show?
Right. It's just been an absolute joy to chat with you. I'm so grateful to share some of my ideas and let's do this again.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait. We'll talk about that after I stop recording. So thanks so much for being on Give a Heck, Andrew. I appreciate your time and sharing some of your experiences so that others too can learn. It is never too late to give a heck.
Thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to Give a Heck. If you find value, I'd appreciate you sharing with your friends and family so they too can learn how to live life on purpose, not by accident. So you do not miss the next episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and please also post a review. I look forward to reading your comments. This has been Dwight Heck. If you want to check out other podcast episodes or today's show notes, please check out my website, giveaheck.com. And until next time, together let us all strive to give a heck.